Hi everyone, hope you're all well and enjoying the benefits of level 3. For those who don't know me or who might be surprised to not see Mike here today, I'm Judith and I'm leading one of the home groups that Hutt City is running. We call our home group international as we are all from different countries and not talking English as our first language. And in our Bible studies on Zoom, we have started to follow Mike's reflections on the book of James. Mike asked me whether I would want to share my thoughts around the verses 19 to 21 with you this week. So here I am talking to you today and hoping that you can ignore all of my mistakes and just focus with me on James chapter 1 verses 19 to 21. If you haven't read it yet, or if you don't have your Bible opened, feel free to just pause me and continue watching when you're ready. All right, so I will mostly be focusing on verse 19 and 20, but as you read, you can see that the first bit of verse 21 is strongly connected to what we learned from the first two verses. What is the truth in these verses? Let's have a look at two aspects. The first one, everyone should be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to become angry. How do you feel about this truth? Sounds pretty easy, eh? Well, I have to say that a lot of times I'm doing the exact opposite of what it says. When it comes to a debate or an argument, I'm very quick to speak and even quick to become angry. And I find it hard to just sit and listen. In our marriage, for example, we are sometimes really surprised about the size of both of our anger. We think it must be correlating with the size of our love for each other too, but we are learning a lot about this at the moment. And my desire is to become a better listener. So if I always lived by this truth, our arguments would look different. I would say, it seems like we're having different opinions here. Can I please listen to yours so that I can understand it better? I wonder though if that would end up arguing about who is allowed to listen first, but that's just a funny side thought. So I could stop talking now and send you back into your daily life to try living by this truth. But honestly, it seems a bit too easy and a bit too difficult at the same time, because we haven't heard anything about God yet. And the sentence we've looked at could equally be a quote of an article in, say, a Life magazine, maybe with a headline, "The 3 most important things for better relationships." Yeah, it is true, but what is God's role in all of this? And why is it true? Why should I live like this? Can we dig a little bit deeper into our verses? Doing this, I see another aspect of truth. It says human anger does not produce the righteousness that God desires. There's a certain righteousness that God desires. It seems to be different from a human righteousness. Righteousness, though, is a big word, and theologians have spent half of their lives finding out what it means in a biblical context. We don't have the time to do this, but we can have a quick look at what we've already been reading in James. And I find 2 clues. Through verses 9 to 12, we could learn that from God's perspective, the poor people are the blessed ones, and the people who face temptations in their journey with God are the blessed ones. In God's world, in His kingdom, we are being looked at with a different standard. Things are being turned upside down, and we cannot deserve or earn His love for us by, let's say, being rich, having achieved a lot, or by living a perfect Christian life and not facing any struggles. No, but instead we can read in verse 18 that He has chosen us. God has decided to give us this new life, a life in Him, a life with Him. He acknowledges us without looking at what we've achieved and how good or bad our actions are. And this is pure grace. The righteousness that God desires is that we look at each other through God's eyes. And that, as we learned, will provide a different view on the people we look at. So let's put these two main thoughts around the truth we find in the verses together and ask ourselves again, am I living by this truth? When I have a different view on the people I look at, when I look through God's loving eyes, it also changes my actions towards them. If I always lived by this truth, I would want to understand them, would be humbly and would listen first. Not because it's a secret for good communication that a random Life magazine can tell me about, but because I can see every other person as a child of God. A person that through God's righteousness does deserve being listened to first, being understood, being loved unconditionally. And here's a bit of an advanced learning step for me, and maybe for you. If I always lived by this truth, I could even be quick to listen when someone has clearly messed something up. I can slow down, not become angry, turn my emotions upside down like God does it with his or through his righteousness. Love this person nevertheless, even if they might not deserve it. I think if God would measure with our human righteousness, he would clearly have a lot of reasons to be angry with me. But he chooses not to. He chooses to listen, to understand, to be compassionate, and then to slowly speak into my heart and to start transforming my life. And that is one last thought when we look at verse 21. As Christians, it should be our desire to get rid of all moral filth, like it says, but it does not make us better or worse in God's eyes. Remember, he has chosen you by grace, not by what you deserve, what you do or what you don't do. We can trust him, though, that as we live with him and stay close to him, he will start transforming our lives step by step. I need to ask him for that again and again and again and again. I need his help if I don't want to become angry so fast. I need his help if I want to be quick to listen. I need his help of looking at other people through his eyes. What do you need to do? Do you need to ask him for help as well? So if you want to join us reading through the book of James, here's the verses we will be focusing on during the next week. It'll be James 1, verses 22 to 25. I'm going to read this for you now. Do not merely listen to the word and so deceive yourselves. Do what it says. Anyone who listens to the word but does not do what it says is like someone who looks at his face in a mirror and, after looking at himself, goes away and immediately forgets what he looks like. But whoever looks intently into the perfect law that gives freedom and continues in it, not forgetting what they have heard, but doing it, they will be blessed in what they do. So enjoy reading through these verses again and again over the next few days and discovering the truth in these verses. And then ask yourself, am I living by this truth? What would my life look like if I always lived by this truth? And what do I need to do? Thanks for listening today and have a great rest of the week.